Welcome to this Times Techies webinar. I'm Sujit John, and I have with me my colleague Shilpa Fadnis. The two of us will moderate the discussion. We hope you and your families are staying safe and doing well. Our discussion today is on engineering R&D and how this segment is becoming an innovation powerhouse. The discussion is in association with Capgemini. Going by figures from NASSCOM, engineering R&D is one of the fastest growing segments of the Indian technology industry. Indian engineers are helping create products for the world, and more of that work is coming to the country as our capabilities grow. You can see it across a number of industries: software, automotive, medical, telecom, aerospace, retail, and many more. To discuss this fascinating space, we have with us three seasoned professionals. We have with us Dr. Prabhu Rajagopal. Dr. Prabhu is professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering at IIT Madras. He did his BTech and MTech at IIT Madras and PhD and postdoc at Imperial College London. Dr. Prabhu has over 25 funded projects, 180 technical articles, 25 patent filings, and 4 granted IPs. He's widely recognized for his pioneering work on waveguide ultrasonics and robotics for digital transformation. He has also co-founded several startups that license his IPs. Welcome, Dr. Prabhu.
Thank you so much, sir.
We have Atul Kurani. Atul is the global head for medical device and IoT at Capgemini Engineering. Atul has over 31 years of experience, including in companies like Patni Computer Systems and iGate. A lot of his experience has been in product engineering across industry sectors like medical devices, consumer products, and retail, storage, automotive, industrial automation, and enterprise software products. Welcome, Atul.
Good evening, everyone.
And we have Rajesh Kosalram. Rajesh is head of automotive for Capgemini Engineering. Rajesh has 33 years of automotive experience across vehicle manufacturers, tier 1 suppliers, and engineering services. Prior to Capgemini, he was at Tata Johnson Controls Automotive. At Capgemini, he established a center of competence for smart mobility and established Industry Academia Connect for the automotive business. Welcome, Rajesh.
Thank you very much. Hi, everybody.
Those who are viewing this can send in questions through the Facebook comment box. Shilpa and I will put them to Atul, Rajesh, and Dr. Prabhu. Let me start by asking all three of you. How is India currently placed in the global digital engineering and tech R&D sectors? Who wants to go first? Dr. Prabhu?
Yeah. I think we are actually at a very exciting cusp as such. Indian economy is bouncing back from the challenging past couple of years. There is, in general, optimism overall. Particularly, we are becoming a powerhouse for digital technologies. I think we are pioneers of digital technologies with us in Mr. Rajesh and Mr. Atul. A lot of innovation is happening, and a lot of cutting edge innovation is also coming up from our country as such. So I am particularly excited by the prospect of having product companies and solutions coming out of India, which appears to be, we have all the stage set for that now.
Okay. Atul, you want to add to that?
Definitely, from an industry perspective and from the sector which I come from, I feel this is the first time where we can have a leadership rather than, I can say, the fast follower tag, which we have it. In digital space, we are looking at, I can say, advantage on all three fronts: cheaper, better, and faster. And in case of faster, it comes from a scale, which gives you the speed part of it. So my take here is that if you look into digital talent, I think the largest pool of talent is going to come mostly from, I can say, developing countries, specifically from our side, and then from China. And I think a geopolitical situation and whatever is the way things are going to get polarized between us and China. And I would possibly put my neck out to say that most possibly people will select India compared to China, is my own view. And the reason specifically in this particular product line is that it is all about A part, making sure that you create a global products, and B part, it is all about protecting your IP. I think in both the cases, I feel that India would have that particular advantage. Now, we have always been very good fast followers. Take any technology, we'll pick it up fast and do quickly. and most of the times emerging, all the technologies emerge from there. Experts were sitting in the across the globe. I think with I can say all the technologies which came in last few years, everything is simultaneously coming to us, whether you take it 5G, whether you take it to AI. I think India is at a same speed as anywhere in the world. And if you have a scale and it is coming at a right price point, and I'll come back on a price point again, because I don't think so it is a game of price, but it is of value, but I'll still come to price and elaborate further. I think India will have an edge over everyone. See, according to me, digital journey is everything about a data journey. And it is data which leads to from data to info, from information to knowledge to wisdom. Till you reach to that wisdom stage, you don't get the value, which means that your initial 3 phases are all about investments. You don't even know the wisdom, what is going to come out of it is going to have the buyers and people will pay for its value. Okay, you don't require, I can say, AI systems to look at I can say, shop floor and say that this machine is going to break. The expert mechanic looking at the sound of the machine will tell it is going to break. So you need that profanity out of it. Now, if you are in the journey of getting the data from multiple streams, creating the data lakes, all the, I can say, AI algorithms, till you reach to that journey, it is all investment. If you start making that type of, I can say, investments, and in last 2 years, you have not made that much of your sale, which means that you have to do it at a cheaper cost. And that's where I think like scale and cost and quality will come from India. I feel that this is the first time we can do all the AI algorithms and engines for the world and be at, I can say, the leadership and let people follow us in for the first time.
Okay, Dr. Prabhu saying powerhouse, Atul saying quality, cost, all of scale, all of that. India will have an edge over everybody else, including China. Rajesh, you want to add to that?
Sure, Sujit. So let me start with a few examples. Today, modern day's car, has close to 100 million lines of code. Okay, I mean today's normal car I'm talking about, and today's medical devices and the diagnosis are turning towards digital technologies, right? You pick up digital manufacturing, virtual engineering, simulation, digital twins. They're all into digital engineering space. And pandemic has also really accelerated the digital approach. Okay, a pandemic has completely altered the way consumer behaves and how businesses are conducted. Be it contactless technologies, analytics, software-led systems. They're all changing how products are designed or redesigned or engineered, consumed, and serviced. Yeah. So all these tectonic shifts are going, to call for a capability changeover to embedded systems or digital innovation and cybersecurity. Okay. So there are, you talk about companies driving the digital trend like GE, Bosch, Google, like Daimler, Microsoft, or even Oracle or Motorola. They've all, chosen India to have their digital, engineering centers. Now, some data points, globally, about 100 billion is spent, on outsourced engineering R&D. And India accounts to about 32% of the space, right? And in 2025, it's forecasted to even touch $63 billion, dollars. In fact, interestingly, the 2020, Global Innovation Index places India on top of the list of countries exporting, ICT services. And today, India houses about close to 1,300 global capability centers, not capacity centers, but capability centers, that conduct offshore product development, and provide engineering services. And one more interesting data point is 2019 Sanow report, says that India has surpassed China in attracting funds for engineering R&D, clearly making India as the next destination for high-end R&D. But it's not all, these are all positives, but then there are a few, hard facts that we need to also digest. See, out of the 2,500 global engineering, spenders, only 26 are Indian companies. Yeah. And 19 of these 26 firms from India are hardly into, 3 or 4 sectors, pharmaceutical, automotive, software. There are at least 4 or 5 sectors we are, hardly there, which all shows that we have still not completely exhausted the potential. We are probably still at the tip of the iceberg, and a lot more is to come. Rightfully, the current government, has set a vision of 1 trillion digital economy in the next 5 years. I think, I completely, aligned with Dr. Prabhu and, Atul, that we are at the most exciting phase, and the young engineers, who's starting their career, I think this is the best time to start their career.
Okay. Shilpa?
Yeah, as much as all of you captured the excitement in the space, what are some of the major factors that have contributed to this change from being the world's back office to now an R&D powerhouse? Dr. Prabhu, Dr. Rajesh, do you want to take a?
Yeah, so, if you really see, India had a very humble beginning, being the back office of the world, for R&D space, sometime in early 1990s, and it continued the same way in 2010, from 2010, we started seeing, companies like Intel, GE, Bosch, and Google's changing the Indian narrative to innovation and technology.
Amazon as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Amazon as well. Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, some data point again, Everest Global in their annual report 2019, India accounts to almost 1/4 of the new centers set up globally. Okay. And surprisingly, it's not the cost. When you interviewed these people, it is not the cost arbitrage, but it is the innovation and technology, that they were able to, get out of India that made them set these centers. See, another interesting fact is about 70% of the 50 most innovative global companies have R&D centers in India. It's almost like in Intel Inside, I would tell that it's almost like India Inside in almost every product that we consume. Yeah. And another 4 megatrends, global megatrends, is speed, sustainability, scalability, and security, are reasons enough to look at India, not beyond. See, take today, to service this 32 billion, we employ 700,000 engineers, Now, this 63 billion in 2025, we need to double them, right? And what more, it's a software-defined future is going to demand a lot of new skills, which is further going to increase the number of engineers that are required. Okay. So where else can the world go, for scalability other than India? I don't see any other place in the world other than India which could give the right solution for scalability as well as capability.
No, absolutely. Dr. Prabhu, how much of this is because of your students?
Yes, you nailed it. I think, to me, the factors that are driving this whole phenomenon is actually the higher education revolution that is happening in our country.
Yeah.
I think for many years, we have been focusing on education. That's a huge positive for India. We have invested heavily in education in all tiers, primary, secondary. But what surprises me is the proliferation of higher education institutions. Today, you from IITs to IIMs, we have ICERs, we have IIT DNM, and not just these. Today, I think even in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, the quality of engineering education that is being imparted has actually undergone a quantum change.
Really?
We get fantastic engineers from tier 2 and tier 3 cities, which has been a big revelation even for me as such. So I think education is one of the big drivers of this change, and I think the other factors, as hinted by Mr. Rajesh, we have had a stable political economy. We have had democracy, because of which there is this possibility of upward mobility, and more and more engineers are flooding our market. More and more talented engineers are coming in from all over the place as such. And the fact that there is Indian diaspora in leading positions in a lot of global R&D companies is also helping this, is not harming us. It's but that ultimately is again related to education, because of we invested in higher education. These people went and found opportunities in those big companies, and so that is the biggest factor as far as I see it personally.
Okay, what you're saying, I just want to ask you, I mean, the common belief is that a lot of these engineers are not employable and all of that, but you are saying even in tier 3, tier 4 institutions, there are very good engineers.
So that's a very good point you have raised. What I'm saying is the quality of education has improved, but definitely we can do with a lot of finishing up. So we can do finishing school type preparation, make them market ready. But the fundamental quality of their, the concepts that they are imbibing, the kind of training that they are getting is improving across the board, for sure.
Very interesting. Yeah,
If I may add,
I think Atul wanted to speak, Rajesh. One second.
No, I think this is possibly only our sector where we don't invest much into our raw materials, and that things have started changing. The raw materials, specifically the human talent, the brain power. I have seen a marked change in last few years. I think some of them is the realization in pandemic. Everybody got a little bit of that spirituality to say that I will give it back to my society. I will go back to my alma mater. I will give them back. That is one piece of it. And the second thing, I think due to this, whatever we call it, talent war, there was a need also to see that how can I get a better finished product. And that's where industry, academia, I can say collaboration has started very, very aggressively in last 1 year. I can say that almost everybody is right now tying up with a lot of, I can say, good engineering schools. We are offering all the internship. All of them are welcome to work on our live projects, and it is beneficial for both of us. So that possibly takes care of a little bit of the quality piece of it. Always there was a question mark as that whether the education courses have kept up with whatever is the industry demand. And I feel like a good internship with I can say cutting edge projects can bridge that gap. And that has happened in, I can say, I've seen so many, almost I don't know anybody has got rejected for any internship in last 2 years by at least my company, and I'm pretty sure it is happening across all the companies.
Okay. Rajesh, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. See, I mean, I think this narrative of our engineers not being industry ready was there about a few years ago, but now things are definitely changing. Even the industries, they actually collaborate with academia, and they start grooming these engineers right from the 7th semester by tailoring the curriculum so that they are industry ready. Number one. And also we need to give it to the students also, right? The awareness of the student to be industry ready has also dramatically increased. Could be for various factors. Even the faculties could be helping. The academia could also be helping. I think today, like Atul said, or Dr. Prabhu also said, with this collaboration, both ways, give and take happening, students are definitely much better placed in terms of, taking up the industry role.
Okay, no, very interesting. Very recently we had a conversation with the TCS CEO. Then we had another one recently with the Intel and Cisco HR heads. All of them were saying somewhat similar things. I mean, that whole earlier narrative that people are unemployable, I think that whole thing now needs to change, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
To redo those stories and clarify some of these things. Yeah, very interesting. Shilpa?
Yeah. How do you think the pandemic has impacted the delivery of engineering R&D services? Atul and Rajesh, if you can share your thoughts on this.
One of you had actually mentioned that pandemic had improved things, no?
Yeah. In fact, I have an interesting, I can say, observation here. But let me start with actually like how we went about changing up a service delivery model. What actually happened was as soon as I can say remote working started, major customers obviously had a fear of two parts, like whether you will have a same productivity, and the second thing is whether it will be secure, right? These were the two major concerns. Then obviously the other concerns would have been there, but these were the two. And surprisingly, I have not seen any large incident from any large organization reporting security, I can say, flaw in working in last 15, 18 months working from home. And we did a leapfrog in our technology while we were stabilizing on a landline. Internet came, and we are very good at internet. I think 4G did help us a lot at home. Right now, I'm on 4G. My network is not working, but this is reliable. We don't have any issues of, I can say, data line dropping. Voice call has deteriorated, that I can definitely say. However, that fear of actually getting that speed and really working from home, having any productivity and security issues is not there. Now, mostly like our tech hubs are being all the metros where you have a massive traffic, I can say, impact on number of hours we spend. And that has really coped up with a lot of our productivity. And in fact, most of the companies which I work, they have said that our productivity has increased. So my fear is that when we go back to work, maybe we may have a productivity drop. And in a way, that is going to be a major, I can say, expectation setting, that people will work for 9 hours a day and not that 13, 14 hours a day, which they are doing right now because they have nothing to do. And that is one realization which has happened. I strongly believe that overall, this hybrid working model is here to stay. It is not going anywhere, irrespective of pandemic. And it will be somewhere between 2 days or 3 days at work, but mostly at home. And that's the way. My other interesting observation is that I saw, I got some of the talent, specifically diversity talent, the women folk, who left because of whatever the responsibility they had it. They were doing a lot of things. They moved in some of the B towns and C towns. That barrier of working from anywhere, and the biggest, I can say, whatever I will look at as a phobia of industry, having an issue of rehiring the people when they have a gap in their employment, is gone. Right now, software, if you would have even worked, let us say, a few years back, you are most welcome. You can work at a flexi hours, take care of your kids. So in a way, I would say even a diversity change. And right now, at least in engineering talent, I can say that myth of engineering are done by the engineers being a male community is gone. I see large pool of female folks working in engineering organization and contributing very, very, I can say, efficiently. So service model has changed. This is my new normal, and I'm definitely feeling that this is good because overall, in a small way, by saving a little bit on fuel, really pollution, we are going to contribute to sustainability also.
Okay. I just, Shilpa and I have some other questions, but there's an interesting question here from Bhanu Pratap Reddy. What skills are crucial for mechanical engineers trying to build a career in engineering R&D? Dr. Prabhu, I think that's for you. Okay, I'll come back to you, Rajesh. 1 second. Let me put this to Dr. Prabhu first, since he's a teacher.
So, of course, core engineering skills are very important, but I think increasingly all the skills that are required to succeed, even in a strongly engineering-oriented sector, would be soft skills, both in terms of better team working, more responsive, which are all personality attributes. On the other hand, software skills, Python, VCK, C++, and also being very familiar with mechatronic tools, open electronics, Arduino, Raspberry Pi. I think that's the secret to success in this current environment.
So your mechanical engineering students, many of them are on their own, take some of these software, Python and C++ and all that you mentioned?
Yeah, and as Mr. Rajesh mentioned earlier, so I think a lot of internships are imparting these skills today.
Yeah.
So they are serving the gap. They are serving to bridge the gap and providing young engineers to develop skills in these areas. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, Rajesh.
yeah, to add to what Dr. Prabhu said, all the branches are evolving, changing, and mechanical is also no exception to that. While the embedded space is moving towards connected features, connected future, or software future, mechanical is moving towards things like lightweight. You take any aircraft or even cars, for example, they're all going towards lightweight technologies. So if a mechanical engineer is able to start learning about lightweight technologies, that will be very, very handy, number one. Number two, if you really look today, if he's aspiring to get into design, I think CAD, CAM, or CAE, CFT is again a very good area where, because a lot of optimization is happening. If you want a really lightweight, at the same time, you want a crash-worthy vehicle, you need to do a lot of optimization using virtual simulation, right? So this is something that I was telling. And again, what Dr. Prabhu said, mechanical engineer need not be purely mechanical engineer. He can bolster his capability by learning, Python or CAPL, where test automations can be done, So it's always good to be, have a good hands-on software capabilities also along with this.
Okay. Atul, you wanted to say something?
I say is coming from IoT side. I think like connected products comes here, and really like I see like along with software, I have always a need for mechatronics in my projects, and all of a sudden you see that that team which used to be like a mechanical team doing something of a physical design or something is no longer that way. A connected product story is all integrated story, where right from a sensor design to possibly like enclosure designs, then making sure that it has all the things taken care with respect to the cost of the products, and then all the selection of materials and components will come. And that's where I feel that that's one side of it, things which mechanical engineers bring it down, but then obviously the embedded piece and software is the one which they would lack it. Similarly, from a software side, either way, then the people are picking up the skills, and what I used to call earlier a full stack programmer has become like a full SDLs, I can say full value chain programmer. So I don't know like whether it is going to be possible, but at certain point in time when I was in engineering, I was always having this question mark that I'm an electronics engineer and I'm going to do possibly like embedded part of it. What am I doing learning mechatronics, mechanical engineering, or CAD drawings and so on? But I'm glad that I learned that it is coming to a lot of use when I'm looking into some of that part. And I think like that background which engineering does it in first year with all the subjects are now becoming that a part of the larger value chain. So mechanical is I think we are going to have a lot of is a shine coming in this world because of the connected products, and all mechanical engineers are in huge demand right now. So it is not only software anymore.
Okay, that's good to hear. Shilpa?
Rajesh, would you like to go first on this question? What are some of the important pillars on which India is building its R&D prowess? Then maybe Atul and Dr. Prabhu can chime in as
well. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, if you look at the pillars, digital engineering is number one pillar, right? Everything is going digital. Including mechanical engineers, their designs are all virtual now. You talk about digital twins, they create digital twins. And so digital engineering is, according to me, number one pillar, all right, on which India is building its, R&D progress. Second is, of course, scalability. I always keep telling, scalability is an important factor because, the average number of lines per product, and be it any product, has really gone up, exponentially, which means that for the same product we need more number of software engineers, right? So definitely, the world needs more engineers, and that explains the global talent war. Yeah. So scalability, when it comes to scalability, there's nowhere in the world that they can go other than India, right? The third aspect is, when it comes to Indian engineers, they are truly global workforce. They speak English. They adapt themselves to newer technologies and newer environment, newer culture. You go to any part of the world, you could see Indian engineers excel there, right? So that way, they're global workforce, and of course skilled. They're very, very skilled, motivated, and so this is another aspect very unique to the Indian engineers. Last but not the least is the innovation. In the last 10 years, India is really coming to the forefront as frontline innovations, centers, right? So I think these are some of the pillars, but please understand, India is still economical, but it's just not anymore the only factor.
Yeah, so just adding on to what Mr. Rajesh is saying, digitalization is certainly the first pillar. And I think, once I was in Italy trying to sell some of our robotics products, I was pitching to people, and then I heard a very interesting comment. They said, India is known for software. Why are you trying to sell robots here? But I think what we are doing now is actually capitalizing on our strength on software and then bringing that to bear upon engineering. So if you take, robotics, AI, ML, Industry 4.0, 5G, IoT, AR, VR, blockchain, these are the technologies that are revolutionizing our industries, and India is leading on every one of them. Right, so we have some of very high-end innovation in the world happening in India right now in these spaces. So that's the first pillar. As far as innovation is concerned, I agree with what Mr. Rajesh said, but I also believe we have a very specialized take on innovation, which has a bad word, which is called jugaad, but also that has positive connotation. So frugal innovation is something that we champion, right? So Indian engineers would like to create value for less investment. I think that's another pillar across the board. Any, even global R&D majors who are coming to India, when they are doing R&D, I think this aspect comes into the play, that we try to minimize the investment and maximize the returns for it. So frugal innovation is something that's another pillar. The third pillar for me is customization, because the Indian customer wants to wants to have a specialized thing designed for him. Almost, I've seen there is no situation when we go and try to sell something to somebody, they'll say, unless we say, "Ye aapke liye specially bana hua hai, sir, this is something customized," it's highly unlikely to sell actually. So customization, if you look at global products, they come in standard palettes. But when it comes to India, you need to tailor it to the local palette. And this, I think, is percolating back actually. So the R&D major who's coming to India is learning how to customize and then taking it back and selling it across the world. So I think that is a third pillar I would see as well.
Okay.
From my side, I agree with possibly like everything what Rajesh and Dr. Prabhu is saying. I feel one of the things which India did it very right was ecosystem play. We build a very, very good ecosystem. I come from healthcare side, so I can say that this particular part that you are known for software, and that particular thing I can definitely say will not happen in India because of the ecosystem part. So whether you take it down the domain knowledge and are actually good hospitals and clinics and a lot of, I can say, clinical staff, which is there, the scale what we have it. So there is a huge domain. If you take into any of the physical device engineering side of it, and when you want to do prototyping of it, a lot of ancillary units from automakers are helping us in building a lot of medical devices. So huge ecosystem for mechatronics piece of it. if you want to test it in a controlled environment on a, I can say, very controlled EMC, AMI type of labs there, all the labs are in India. Most important piece is that now you can test everything in India and release for global. So you don't have to wait in a queue in US to get your product certified. Come to Bangalore, come to Pune, get it certified, release anywhere in the world. So that is there. Definitely like a lot of, I can say, contract manufacturers, I can say associations are there. Almost all the companies have a right tie-up. So right from that prototyping to get it into, produce into the scale and just send it across the globe wherever you want it, that is there. So I feel that is one of the reason where we build our engineering prowess to say that we can do end-to-end. And that end-to-end story, coming to your earlier question, is also there. That makes you change from back end to front end, because no longer you are saying that, okay, you do certain things, I'll do certain things. You can do anything from right from concept to actually like a overall production and it's deployed to your end customer. That happens here, and that's where like all the value is coming from India because of the ecosystem, which both like industry has made a lot of investment, and so has government. So I feel that that is the biggest I can say differentiator in R&D space.
Okay. You talked about this ecosystem and all that. I mean, but Dr. Prabhu, I just want to ask you this. I mean, I guess it's relatively easier for a company like Capgemini with big budgets and good global connects and all that to do this. But for an Indian small startup which is trying to create a product, sell overseas and all that, I guess it's not so easy, is it?
Yes, I mean, yes and no. If you are selling a digital product, then I think it's quite easy because, as I said, we are known for software. But if you are trying to sell hardware made out of India, there is still some gulf that we have to overcome. One is certification, because we do not have certification standards and codes and standards for all the segments available locally. So, for example, if you're developing a product for the hydrocarbon sector, then you need a fire safety certification, zone 0 ATEX certification. We just do not have the bodies locally available for them. Similarly, if you want to work in the marine space, you want to have ISO certification, you want to have American certification. These are very difficult to get locally. This is a challenge that we have to overcome to be able to make products that are globally, if we have to make products that are globally competitive, then we need to have appropriate standards and certification bodies available locally and accessible to the startups as well.
Funding, how big is an issue?
Again, yes, funding as well. I think when we have, we have some conservatism in both the funding community as well as in the established industry segments in India, where we tend to prioritize solutions that have already worked somewhere. But when it is something coming out of coming from scratch, actually, because that requires backing for quite a while. It takes a few years before a product is really out serving the market. The stomach for that is still not there, and I think that's an area that needs to be addressed as we go forward. Even funding bodies, we are actually very well networked to the global VC community, and typically, the money tends to flow into ideas and areas that have already worked in the US or European market. And if we are saying that we are developing something completely new over here, there is a lot of hesitation to back a venture like that. Still.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shilpa, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. If you can talk about the impact on specific industries, how is R&D in AI transforming the future of healthcare in India? Atul, do you want to take this question?
Definitely. There is a lot of I can say hype around AI part of it. I still feel that we are far off from AI replacing a doctor, and I don't know even it is happening in the West. But if you look into specifically healthcare and AI use cases in India, I feel that it can only success if it is accessible to all and it is affordable by all. So which means that I talk about possibly like large masses of a country which are in a middle to lower strata. They should have that, I can say, affordability, and then it should be accessible in rural area. That's where I will say that AI would have succeeded. Right now, AI use cases are there, which are there like anywhere in the world, which is in diagnostics or decision support systems, specifically coming from an imaging world and so on. And that solutions are there in US also, and possibly they are in Apollos and Wocards and the large hospitals there. But has it come to that affordability and accessibility to the rural part? I feel it is not there. But what is it which is so exciting, which may happen in future, is this 5G piece of it. Just imagine what 5G can do, and we are at par with, I can say, most of the countries having a 5G spectrum availability. Right now, you take any, like even a B towns, you do a CT scan, MRI scan, most likelihood is that you will not do there, because you feel that even to do an opinion for it, you will have to come to the metros because the experts are sitting there. Okay, now just see that particular part with 5G, how it changes that. If you can have like maybe like a CT scanners, or I can say, or your fluoroscopic devices in a smaller towns or even the villages, and if you have just like a surgeon there sitting there, possibly an MBBS there, and you can transmit immediately with a 5G speeds wherever you want to, and then an expert sitting in a metro giving that opinion. Just see how it changes everything. Half of the times you are delaying the things because just you don't want to go to the larger cities. There are lots of issues leaving your town, and that delay part causes major problem to your, I can say, already impacted like areas of concerns, right? So my take is that AI is going to be there. It still has a long way to go for, at least in a healthcare sector, to replace a doctor. But at least in India, I see few things which has started happening. So just see this, that a remote radiologist actually like providing lot of support. A typical radiology study may take maybe 2 hours, and it takes that much time. But with AI, possibly it can do a localization of what you need to scan, and it may give it down so that you can do it in 15 minutes, right? So then you can do much more. The scale will be there, that I can say deficiencies of doctors and radiologists, that is definitely going away. Now come to like some of these things which are happening in COVID times. Some of our automakers went into creating the ventilators, right? You saw that part. And then that again, that Jugaad engineering which came into picture, which Dr. Prabhu was alluding to. And we did well, like I can say, like with a volume what we have it down, that ventilators were there. We have a noise, but I still feel that it was done. Now, important piece is that whether it is a COVID pneumonia or other things, you want to do it using that particular part, at least at a high level, you should be able to do that. So that is happening in India. And I'm positive that it will go at a scale where it will reduce both doctors' time, and in turn, it may reduce the doctors' affordability. So that is, I'm excited about it. But are we there? AI in India, in rural villages, nowhere there.
But some of your clients are working towards it, is it? Did we lose Atul?
Looks like it.
Yeah, I think. Rajesh, let me ask you, automotive, a very exciting space. I mean, India has
definitely a lot of my clients are working. And
okay, Atul, I think we lost you briefly.
I'm here. Sorry about that. So we are working with some of the major, like with IBM and with Microsoft. Both of us, we are working on creating some of the solutions for various state governments right now. And these are all futuristic AI solutions, mostly to do a lot of, I can say, work which will be for electronic medical records, and then can do a little bit of precision medicines part of it. So that part, definitely we are doing pretty good. We are definitely doing a lot of work on imaging side of it. And that's where like the AI has a major power, right? Because the game changer is the imaging part of it. And that's where we are doing it. But still, I feel like the adoption of that particular technology, at least in India, will have at least few years to go.
Okay. Rajesh, yeah, I was asking you about automotive. Yeah, some great work happening out of Mercedes-Benz has had a great center out of here for many years. Continental, Bosch, of course, years now. Fiat set up something in Hyderabad some time ago.
Yeah.
So tell us what's happening in automotive engineering.
See, let's start with Indians working overseas, be it US and UK or Europe, they're all doing some pioneering work in ER&D space, and specifically in automotive, right? So they've been doing this not recently, for last 50 years in the automotive space. Yeah. So, but it was just a matter of time before these global companies realized that when these people can do excellent work in in their countries, why not we go and tap the skill in India at the source at the much lower price. Yeah. So, but somewhere in I think one of the pioneers, though they were not automotive, Texas Instrument was one of the first companies to set up their R&D center. It was a major decision. Probably they were the front runners. In 1985, they set up their development center in Bangalore. Right? It was just not a back office, but then they really developed. Developed it as a development center, where they were developing, high technology, niche technology chips in Bangalore. So once they demonstrated, they just demonstrated to the world that anybody could do this. But then still, in automotive, the adoption was a little slow. But all credits to our domestic, OEMs like Tata's and Mahindra. They set up their R&D and they developed the vehicle. They did not borrow the technology, especially Tata's. They developed their, their first vehicle out of their own in-house R&D. Maybe not the best, maybe not the most refined, but then they did the first beginning, number one. Number two, you should also look at the India, potential for cars. It was definitely growing. Maruti was already there, they were growing. And not just Maruti, there were a lot of other OEMs, found that India as a hot destination for small and medium-sized cars. Then we had, people like Renault, Nissan come in, Hyundai come in, multiple OEMs started coming in, right? So this is where, over a period of time, companies like Maruti also realize the potential of Indian engineers and how effective it is. And again, in automotive space, what happens, Sujit, is what you develop for Europe need not be the, ideal vehicle for India. Indian conditions are very, very different. In fact, there's a very comical anecdote from Daimler. When they brought their vehicle to India, everything passed in the field except their horns. Their horns failed because they were not designed for Indian conditions, right? So so it's very, very, very important. These companies realize that for Indian conditions, we have to develop design vehicles in India, number one. The other aspect is in terms of cost, frugal engineering, what Dr. Prasad had mentioned. When you design a car in Europe, you design it for Europe standards, European expectations in terms of styling, in terms of finish, in terms of craftsmanship, right? But the same thing, very close to that standard, the Indian engineers were able to bring almost close through frugal engineering methods, right? So with all these things, I think Renault was one of the first companies who developed a complete car in India, which was Quid, which was a good success, runaway success. It was also launched in South American countries and some of the African countries and so on and so forth. Now, over the years, last 10 years, what have they achieved? Yes, they've achieved definitely, major cost benefit in terms of getting the engineering and the development testing done in India. Speed has been one of the very important aspect, what they've achieved, coming to India. reduced, I mean, speed, when you talk about speed, it is definitely reduced time to market. In automotive space, reduced time to market is very, very important. And I think that is something that they've really achieved. Yeah. Other aspect is scalability. Again, as I've always told you, now scalability is very important, and India offered that scalability. Now, off late, in the last 10 years, the vehicles are going more and more digital. The number of ECUs have multiplied. A lot of embedded connectivity has come into the vehicle. Now, off late, electric vehicles are also coming into the picture, right? So this is where India has already been the powerhouse of software, when it comes to software. And so with vehicle, close to 100 million lines of software, they found India to be the ideal place to develop their software products. This is where the Bosches and the Contis, ZF and Daimler, they saw a lot of value in setting up development centers here. And Bosch has got together both Bangalore and Coimbatore. They've got close to about 40,000 people. Conti, they're talking about some, close to 8,000 people. Daimler around 10,000 plus. So I think, more and more is yet to come. I did not speak about Renault, which has got another 10,000 people. So a lot of investment has gone, and they've also reaped a lot of benefit. The OEMs, the foreign OEMs, overseas OEMs, and the best is yet to come. With more and more software coming into the car. Yeah.
Okay, the best is yet to come. Shilpa?
Yeah, we have this question from one of our viewers. This is from Pawan Kumar Gupta. For someone interested in working on innovation and R&D on cutting-edge tech like NLP and ML, the universities in the West has always been attractive in terms of opportunities and funding. What has changed in the last decade?
That's for Dr. Prabhu.
A lot has changed. I think a number of IITs today offer online courses. So for example, IIT Madras has a BSc degree available that can be taken online. It's a 3-year program, but it can be taken on a distance learning mode using MOOCs. I think every other IIT is coming up or already has programs like this. I think also many of our higher educational institutions today are very well networked with industry, whether you talk about IITs or IISCs or IIMs. As Mr. Rajesh was mentioning earlier, we have internship opportunities. We also today increasingly have tie-ups with the best universities across the world. So if students want to pursue semester abroad or want to have internships anywhere in the world, they are free to do so. So I think the best of the universities all across the world are coming together, and the Indian universities are also joining this space. So I think opportunities wise, we can offer as good as anyone else today. Yeah.
Okay. We don't have much time left. I have a question as well, but I want to ask you first this question on sustainability. Across corporate world and governments, on the sustainability has become a big issue. Where does ER&D come in? How can that help in sustainability? Who wants to take that? Okay, Rajesh, go on.
Yeah, so I think let's a little go back towards industrial revolution, right? Where where vehicles were for the first time mass produced, machineries were developed and mass produced. All these things brought people closer, bridged the gap between the continents, brought in convenience and comfort. Okay, but was it sustainable? Definitely no. I think there was a quick depletion of natural resources, climatic changes, havoc, destruction unleashed, unprecedented pollution were seen. When you talk about sustainability, there are 3 pillars. One is economic sustainability, environmental sustainability. The third, very, very important, is social equality. Yeah. So when we talk about economic sustainability, somewhere I just read in the news that the cost of countering pollution in Delhi, it costs our exchequer about 50,000 crore, right? So we talk about a vegetable which is 50 rupees per kg at the maximum, but then the crop that is being burned, which is polluting the airs of Delhi, it's costing much, much more than the 50 rupees, right? That's something that it is hidden. We don't see it. So this is where I think we should really look at economical sustainability holistically. Environment sustainability is something that all of us know. We talk about carbon footprint. We talk about water pollution and stopping deforestation and things like that. I think in these two areas, E&D plays a major role. We design product and technologies to reduce carbon footprint. We also look into recyclability of the materials that we use, and how we can reduce pollution. Then we also look into proper ways of disposal of hazardous materials. I think this is one area you cannot ignore if you are in the ER&D space, be it mechanical, agnostic of any domain. If it's embedded, we talk about reducing the pollution through sensor technologies and processes which control the fuel mixture and things like that. So ER&D is plays a critical role in terms of sustainability, if you ask me.
So I have three examples of how technology can be used to benefit sustainability. So, and all three are startups from our ecosystem. So pardon me for I'm not being parochial. I'm just presenting something that I'm very familiar with. But these are you can take them as typical examples of how innovation is driving this whole thing in India. So India is one of the biggest consumers of hydel power. And dams can actually lose a lot of water because of leakages and so on. So you would be surprised to know that also India is today a pioneer in using small footprint underwater robots for inspection of dams. So one of our companies, Panelists, is driving this whole thing, and they are known across the world for doing this. Similarly, in our cities, almost 50% of water is lost in distribution. This is called non-revenue water. It's a shocking fact. We are staring at drought, but a lot of water is lost in just in distribution. So a couple of companies here, Fluid Robotics is a Pune-based company that's developing robots for inspection of pipelines. And Solinas is again another startup from our own ecosystem. They're developing robots for checking the internal condition, whether there are leaks, whether there are pilferages happening, to check for and warn the stakeholders of losses. And industrial IoT here is an example where in the energy sector, monitoring of processes and systems is very important. And Zyma is a company from our ecosystem developing IoT sensors for large scale instrumentation within process industries. So those are just three examples. But this is just I'm very sure the tip of the iceberg of the kind of innovation that is happening in our ecosystem today.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Atul, from my side, for me, like sustainability has been part of, I can say, the regulatory process. So certain industries, like in healthcare part of it, the regulation enforces that you are really taking care of recycling of medical waste and so on. And really regulation is making sure that with respect to specifically on battery side and so on, RoHS compliance is there, recycle is a part of a game and medical side of it. So some of the things are, I can say, coming from the regulation piece, but most of the times I think it is the awareness both in consumers, which will buy a product because it is sustainable. And then there is all making a net zero and talking about making a commitment for reducing carbon footprint and so on. So both of them are driving some of the product, both design change and the manufacturing change. So product design changes obviously are going to be there more, where most of the things are being done and figured out, but it is an incremental change. Like take a case of aircraft. Engines are not going to change, but can you do a different design for aircraft with a lighter material so that you have a lesser fuel per seat, right? So that's the incremental change which is happening. But if you look from a manufacturing side of it, what Dr. Prabhu alluded, I totally see. Unless you had the technology of monitoring and tracking, you are not even knowing that which component of your assembly line was, I can say, sucking up all your energies. So now you have that, I can say, IIoT part of it, getting the data from the sensors of all the, I can say, components in the assembly line, and then you are able to track that what is there, and then obviously you are taking, I can say, care of it. And all the regulation from industries also monitoring all the industries that how you are doing an efficient operations. So this is all digitally, I can say, manufacturing is all about, and we are in forefront of that, right? So that's why I said that skill which the question mark was coming is mechatronics is so important now, apart from the software skills we already had it.
Okay, a lot of amazing innovations to deal with the social, economic, and environmental sustainability issues. Yeah, Shilpa, do you have any? I have a question here.
Yeah.
Let me just ask that. This from Rupesh Kulkarni. How is engineering R&D contributing to India Inc.'s top line? Should it be viewed as a long-term investment or an immediate need?
Can you repeat it? It's how it is contributing to India's top line, right?
To India Inc.'s top line, directly contributing to India Inc.'s top line. Is it contributing? And is it an immediate need or a long-term investment?
Sometimes it can be an immediate need when there is a need to innovate. For example, we come up with a like a dead end in a market where we really need to innovate and bring up a new solution. Certainly, it can contribute to the top line. But I think we shouldn't look at R&D only from such a short-term perspective. It is necessary to continuously keep upgrading yourself to stay one up ahead of the market. Because what is cutting edge today is bleeding edge tomorrow. So you need to be one up the game, and therefore you need to have a R&D focus. That would be my view. I don't know what the industry experts here feel.
Even going back to the pandemic, no company in the world, even with the best of business continuity plan, had ever had work from home as a part of BCP, right? So that was an area where, it was compelled that whatever R&D we do, it contributed towards the top line and the bottom line, the very same year. But I completely align with Dr. Prabhu. A typical conventional traditional R&D, establishing a proper R&D takes a gestation period of anywhere between 3 to 10 years, to really bring out professional products. Okay, so that's the timeline that we should be planned towards. So R&D, is not a capex, right? Where you invest, or OPEX, where you invest and get the money the very same year. It's a long-term investment, and definitely it is a required and a prudent investment, if you ask me.
Okay, we are out of time. We are actually a little beyond time. Great discussion. Absolutely, like all of you said, India has some phenomenal talent now. The kind of students that Dr. Prabhu is producing from his institute, and like he said, even the lower level institutions are now producing some great talent. On top of that, the global capability centers, the MNC tech centers, have really matured over the last many years. Doing some cutting edge work out of India. Companies like yours, I know Capgemini took over Altran, and some great engineering services work that is being done out of India. So I think the future looks extremely bright. As I said at the beginning, NASSCOM has, from whatever figures we've seen, this is one of the fastest growing segments of the whole technology industry. Shilpa and I have been tracking the segment quite closely. It's a great discussion. And we have a great future to look forward to, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Dr. Prabhu. Thanks, Atul. Thanks, Rajesh.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
All of you.